Yours, Taj. All right, here we go. So, back in the dictionary again. This time it's gonna be a little bit different. Bear with me, because we all coming. We gonna pull this all the way together. But shoot. First and foremost, I want to start with the definition of magic. Magic is a noun, Latin, magia, a philosopher among the Persians. Philosopher, that's interesting. All right, so it is the art or science of putting into action the power of spirits, or the science of producing wonderful effects by the aid of superhuman beings, or of departed spirits, sorcery, enchantment. This art or science is now discarded. Or is it? Maybe at the time of this writing, but let's bring it right back here though. Number two, the secret operations of natural causes. The secret operations of natural causes. Okay. Natural magic is the application of natural causes to passive subjects by which surprising effects are produced. Magic attributes to spirits a kind of dominion over the planets, and to the planets of an influence over men. Planets, dominion. Spirits have dominions over the planets, and the planets have dominion over men. Got you. All right. Superstitious or geotic magic consists in the invocation of devils or demons, and supposes some tacit or express agreement between them and human beings. Sounds like contracts, covenants, pledges, something of the sort. Soothsayer type, I don't know. All right, magic square. A square figure formed by a series of numbers in a mathematical proportion, so disposed in parallel and equal ranks, as the sums of each row or line taken perpendicularly, horizontally, or diagonally are equal. That sounds like a little game that the folks be playing. Yeah, I've seen that before, the magic square. And last but not least, the magic lantern. That's the whole reason of me even bringing this up. It's a dioptric machine invented by Kircher, which by means of a map in a dark room exhibits images of objects in their distinct colors and proportions with the appearance of life itself. Now, the thing that I found the most interesting about that was the name Kircher. Many people are not familiar with Kircher, so let me just take the time to explore who Kircher actually is. All right, so we back, and I just thought I'd bring up this guy Kircher, the Jesuit priest guy. All right, so stick with me. Hear me on this. Althanius Kircher. He was born on the 2nd of May, 1601, 1602, sometime thereabout. And he died on the 27th of November, 1680, was a German Jesuit scholar and polymath who published around 40 major works of comparative religion, geology, and medicine. Kircher has been compared to fellow Jesuit Roger Joseph Boscovich and to Leonardo da Vinci for his vast range of interests, and has been honored with the title of Master of 100 Arts. Real Renaissance man we got on our hands right here, okay? All right, he taught for more than 40 years at the Roman College, where he set up a wonderkammer, or cabinet of curiosities that would become the Kirchian Museum. We're gonna follow up. We're gonna jump into that at a later point in this video, but keep that in mind. Wunderkammer. That's in German, but if you brought it to American or English, better said, it looked like what it said is Wonder Camera, but that's just me though. That's how I see things. I'm dumb in that way, I guess. But let's continue on. A resurgence of interest in Kircher has occurred with the scholarly community in recent decades. Okay, this is Kircher right here. We gonna talk about Mr. Kircher and some of his attributed inventions and works. All right. Boom, boom. So Kircher claimed to have deciphered the hieroglyphic writings of the ancient Egyptian language, but most of his assumptions and translations in the field turned out to be wrong. He did, however, correctly establish the link between the ancient Egyptian and the Coptic languages, and some commentators regard him as the founder of Egyptology. Keep that in mind. Studying Kemet and some of the things with the root of the history, where it comes from. Kircher was also fascinated with sinology and wrote an encyclopedia of China, where he revealed the early presence of Nestorian Christians while also attempting to establish the link with Egypt and Christianity. The thing about that, right? Egypt was not founded until 1952 as we know it today. This guy lived between 1601 and 1680. So when they say he was German as well, Germany was another thing that was created like after World War One, and then Egypt after World War Two. So it's kind of weird that they're connecting them. So some of this stuff is incorrect. That's in Wikipedia, but I digress. Let's continue on. Kircher's work in geology included studies of volcanoes and fossils. Okay, one of the first researchers to observe microbes through a microscope. Kircher was ahead of his time in proposing that the plague was caused by an infectious microorganism and suggesting effective measures to prevent its spread. You niggas sound like Fauci. Oh man. Kircher was also displayed a keen interest in technology and mechanical inventions. Inventions attributed to him include a magnetic clock, various automatons, and the first megaphone. The invention of the magic lantern has been misattributed to Kircher, although he conducted a study of the principles involved in his Ars Magna Lucis et Ombre. Okay. We're going to cut this part here, but we're going to pick back up on some of his attributed studies. Okay, so we're back with the Ars Magna Lucis et Ombre. It's the great art of light and shadow. It is a 1645 work by the Jesuit scholar Athanasius Kircher. It was dedicated to Ferdinand. I want to say that's the fourth. I'm not good with Roman numerals, but he is the king of the Romans, and published in Rome by Ludovico Grignani. King of the Romans. All right. He's a second edition. A second edition was published in Amsterdam in 1671 by Johann Janssen. Ars Magna was the first description published in Europe of the illumination and the projection of images. Okay, we're talking about the magic lantern and how the magic lantern works. It sounds like a camera. Remember, Wonder Camera. The book contains the first printed illustration of Saturn. And in 1671, the 1671 edition also contained a description of the magic lantern. And just taking a little peep. What's that? Man, that looked like the insignia for the Holy Roman Empire. All right. Is the guy attributed? All right, cool. And it's the illustration of Anamorphous from the book, the Ars Magna Lucis et Ombre. So it followed soon after Kircher's work on magnetism. Cive de Arte Magnetica, 1641, and the title was a play on words. In his introduction, Kircher notes that the word magna alluded to the powers of the magnet, so that the title could also be read The Magnetic Art of Light and Shadow. The work was well known for several decades. Okay. Let's look at this. It's a moon dial. Okay. That's interesting. The Ars Magna is the first of Kircher's works to follow a symbolic structure. It consists of 10 books, represented as the 10 strings of the instrument with which the psalmist praises the Lord in Psalms 143. You tripping. Alright, the 10 books also have a Kabbalistic significance, betokening the 10 Sephiroth. Okay. Alright. So Kircher dealt comprehensively with many aspects of light, including physical, astronomical, astrological, and metaphysical. He discussed phenomena such as fluorescence, phosphorescence, and luminance, optics, and perspective. He also described pareidolia. The work deals first with the sun, moon, stars, comets, eclipses, and planets. It also discusses phenomena related to light, such as optical illusions, color, refraction, projection, and distortion. The work includes one of the first scientific on phosphorescence and the luminosity of fireflies. He devoted much care to the description of instruments such as sundials, moondials, and mirrors that make use of light. He had written extensively on these subjects in an earlier work, the Primite Nomadicae Catropicesce. Forgive me, I only can read English. Kircher also discussed the magic lantern. He is sometimes incorrectly credited with inventing this device. All right, so who invented it? That's a question. All right, in the section Cosmetria Mnemonica, Kircher set out to show how, by measuring sunlight and shadow, it was possible to measure the universe itself. He estimated the depth of the Earth's atmosphere, the distance between the moon and the Earth, the diameter of the sun, and its distance from the Earth. Man, I'm just thinking, like, how is he able to do that? He's a really smart guy. The book concludes with a verse: Disperge has radis anime fulgibitis umbras. Ut sit me lux, me sit to lux. Disperse the shadows of the soul with splendid rays, so that your light be mine and my light yours. This guy's deep. Just looking to go that double-headed foul again. And this is an interesting picture. Got like the little church or university, Jesuit little thing. Got the little cave, reminiscent of like Plato's cave. I know a lot of esoteric people will touch on that. But that's for another time. Continue on with the reading. The Ars Magnus Lucia et Ombre contained 34 engraved plate illustrations. The illustration of Saturn was a woodcut. The planet was represented as a spear with 2 nearby ellipses. As the existence of the rings had not yet been discovered in 1641. By the time the second edition was published in 1671, it was understood that Saturn had rings and not 2 large satellites, but Kircher did not correct the illustration, and it was reprinted unchanged. So we putting incorrect information into the sphere of knowledge and information. Okay, that's what he's known for. Got you. And this very interesting picture. I can't read the language and stuff that's on there, but it's a very interesting picture nonetheless. It's the universal horoscope of the Society of Jesus. The frontispiece for the book by Pierre Maillotte combines the physical, metaphysical, and allegorical qualities of light. It depicts three realms: the divine, the starry, and the earthly. In the divine realm, the name of God appears in the Hebrew tetragrammaton. Grammation. Okay. Surrounded by the 9 orders of angels. Immediately below this are represented the 2 highest means by which humans can understand God's plan: sacred authority, octratritis sacra, and the reason, ratio. In the center of the starry realm below is the celestial spear of the signs of the zodiac. On the left side, the sun god, his body marked with the signs of the zodiac that govern the respective parts of the body. He carries a caduceus, a token of Hermes, topped with the symbol of an eye that may denote hermetic wisdom. His feet rest upon the double-headed eagle of the Habsburgs. From the clouds beneath, a hand emerges holding a lantern revealing the text of a book labeled Profane Authority, Auctoritas Profana. That is the writing of ancient pagan philosophers and other authorities. Facing the sun god is the moon goddess, covered in stars and holding a shield which reflects the light of the sun down to the earth below. She holds a staff topped with an owl, symbol of Athena, and her feet rest on a peacock, symbol of Juno. Beneath her, a finger points to a 4th source of knowledge, the senses. The senses, or it could be like a C. Senses, okay. It's like a ledger, okay? Represented by a telescope casting an image of the sun onto a sheet of paper. Ars Magna contained Kircher's own drawings of sunspots. You know what I'm saying? This dude has superpowers. Above the earthly level appears the portrait of the Archduke Ferdinand. The Archduke Ferdinand? That name sounds familiar. I think World War I, I digress. To whom the book was dedicated. Beneath this, on the left, is a formal garden, perhaps demonstrating the life-giving properties of sunlight and the enlightenment. Here, the rays of the moon are cast onto a moon dial. On the right, a ray of sunlight penetrates the roof of a dark cave, and the mirror casts reflections on the wall of the cave. This is a representation of Plato's famous allegory of the cave. I was kind of right. Hey. Universal horoscope of the Society of Jesus. Okay, what's this about? Ars Magna et Ombre contain many designs for sundials and related devices, including a large fold-out sheet that allowed the user to know the time in every part of the world where the Jesuits had missions. Kircher intended to be of practical use and suggested that it be mounted on wood and then oriented precisely by the use of a sundial. The rows at the bottom of the sheet could be cut out and mounted on stiff paper so that it could be rotated to show the hours. The main design is in the shape of an olive tree. When the sheet is hung vertically and pins placed at the nodes of the tree, the shadows of all the pins align to spell IHS, the logo of the Society of Jesus. Alright, the magic lantern. Kircher's unusual depiction of the magic lantern had been taken by some critics to mean that he had not actually built one or seen it operate, since the illusion shows the mirror not properly lighted with the light source, and the glass slider appears in the front of the lens rather than behind it. Let's take a look at that. Oh, yup. It looks like a projector at the movie theater. Look, yup. It looks just like that. Camera, wonder camera. Got you. Some argue that these anomalies are due to the mistakes by the Dutch publisher Washburg. However, others hold that the mechanism would work as depicted and that it was a variant of the normal type, designed as an analogical demonstration of the Neoplatonic metaphysics of light. Alright, this concludes this chapter. Again, Tachi, and we talking about the Cabinet of Curiosities. German is the Kunstkammer, also known as Wonder Rooms or Wunderkammer, were encyclopedic collections of objects whose categorical boundaries were, in Renaissance Europe, yet to be defined. Although more rudimentary collections had preceded them, the classic cabinets of curiosities emerged in the 16th century. The term cabinet originally described a room rather than a piece of furniture. Modern terminology would categorize the objects included as belonging to natural history, sometimes fate, geology, ethnography, archaeology, religious or historical relics. Faked, works of art including cabinet paintings and antiquities. In addition to the most famous and best documented cabinets of rulers and aristocrats, members of the merchant class and early practitioners of science in Europe formed collections that were precursors to museums. Okay, that's an example of one. So hear that. It's the precursor to museums. Interesting. We're not going to read this whole thing, but we'll read a little bit more. Cabinets of curiosity serve not only as collections to reflect the particular interest of their curators, but also as social devices to establish and uphold rank in society. There are said to be two main types of cabinets. As R.J.W. Evans notes, there could be the princely cabinet serving a largely representational function and dominated by aesthetic concerns and marked predilection for the exotic, or the less grandiose, the more modest collection of the humanist scholar or virtuoso, which served more practical and scientific purposes. Humanist scholar, virtuoso. Got you. Evans goes on to explain that there is no clear distinction existed between the two categories. All collecting was marked by curiosity, shading into credulity and some sort of the universal underlying design. In addition to cabinets of curiosity serving as an establisher of socioeconomic status for the curator, these cabinets served as entertainment, as particularly illustrated by the proceedings of the Royal Society, whose early meetings were often a sort of open floor to any fellow to exhibit the findings his curiosities led him to. However, purely educational or investigative these exhibitions may sound. The fellows in this period supported the idea of learned entertainment, or the alignment of learning with entertainment. Edutainment. Okay. This was not unusual, as the Royal Society had an earlier history of a love of the marvelous. This love was often exploited by 18th century natural philosophers to secure the attention of their history during the exhibitions. Alright. I'm going to skip down to contemporary culture, but if you wanted to look it up, it's Wunderkammer or Cabinet Curiosities. The Houston Museum of Natural Science houses a hands-on cabinet of curiosities complete with taxidermied crocodile embedded in the ceiling, a la Ferrante Imperatos del Historia Natural. In Los Angeles, the modern-day Museum of Jurassic Technology anachronistically seeks to recreate the sense of wonder that the old cabinet of curiosities once aroused. In Spring Green, Wisconsin, the house and museum of Alex Jordan, known as House on the Rock, can also be interpreted as a modern-day cabinet of curiosity cabinet, especially in the collection and display of automatons. In Bristol, Rhode Island, Musée Patamechanic is presented as a hybrid between an automaton theater and a cabinet of curiosities, and contains works representing the field of patamechanics, an artistic practice and area of study chiefly inspired by pataphysics. The idea of a cabinet of curiosities has also reappeared in recent publications and performances. For example, Cabinet Magazine is a quarterly magazine that juxtaposes apparently unrelated cultural artifacts and the phenomenon to show their interconnectedness in ways that encourage curiosities about the world. The Italian Culture Association Wunderkammern uses the theme of the historical cabinets of curiosities to explore how amazement is manifested within today's artistic discourse. In May 2008, the University of Leeds Fine Art BA program hosted a show called Wunderkammer, the culmination of research and the practice from students, which allowed viewers to encounter work from across all disciplines, ranging from intimate installations to thought-provoking video and highly skilled drawing punctuated by live performances. The concept has been reinterpreted at the Victor Wind Museum of Curiosities, Fine Art, and Natural History. In July 2021, a new Cabinet of Curiosities room was opened at the Whitaker Museum and Art Gallery in Rosstall, Lancashire, curated by artist Bob Braith, founder of the House of Horse and Bamboo Theater. Several internet bloggers describe their sites as Wunderkammer, either because they are primarily links to interesting things or inspire wonder similarly to the original Wunderkammer. Researcher Robert Gale describes such internet video sites as YouTube as modern-day Wunderkammer. Although in danger of being refined into capitalist institutions, just as professionalized curators refine Wunderkammers into the modern museum in the 18th century. So the predecessor of this is the predecessor of the modern day museum, like the Smithsonian, things of that nature, to give you the world's history from the perspective of who? The Jesuit priest. I'll be back with the next section. All right, and here is the grand finale. We're talking about the magic lantern. Remember how we got here? We went to the 1828 Webster's Dictionary and we looked up magic, and then magic, one of the things that was described in the definition was the magic lantern. And it was attributed by the 1828 to Althanius Kircher, the Jesuit priest. All right, so the magic lantern, also known by its Latin name, Laterna Magica, is an early type of image projector that uses pictures, paintings, prints, or photographs on transparent plates, usually made of glass, one or more lenses, and a light source. Because a single lens inverts an image projected through it, as in the phenomenon which inverts the image of a camera obscura, slides are inserted upside down in the magic lantern, rendering the projected image correctly oriented. Alright, we're not going to go too deep. By all means, you can go check it out on your own, but we'll go through a couple pictures and I'll throw in my little 2 cents to wrap this up. So that looks just like a projector, like a movie projector. That's the image that it projects. Well, that's the glass that's put in upside down and flipped, inverted with the camera obscura within the magic lantern. So this is how they were able to paint images in your head associated with words. Something that I attribute to a guy that I study under, Kev Gills, man. He taught me about the holographic associative memory. And from my studies, this is how they were able to associate words and meanings and obscure them, invert them, and have you falling into allegorical beliefs rather than, what words actually mean in the common usage of them. But just keep going through. Yeah, you see the operations of cameras, what they're describing here. And they eventually, from a camera projected onto a screen, it will lead to holographic images. And some of the things that we are seeing today that are artificial intelligence are projected images that are really not there, that they're able to use. Let's say holographic projectors. If you do a little bit of research on those, they're able to project things that aren't actually there. You remember when Tupac had a concert and they had like Michael Jackson concerts where you had a holograph of their image and their likeness performing their music, even, you know what I mean? No, they're deceased, but, they're able to also do that with like Sora 2. They're able to put these, because they have their image and likeness, they're able to make it seem like they're out here doing things that they've never done. And eventually that will lead to a lot of confusion down the line, where people would think that, guys like Martin Luther King was running around here stealing things out of Walmart and, talk about, I had a dream that I'm going to walk about this Walmart with this for free. But this is basically where I was trying to conclude at. This is where I was trying to get to, just to get people to understand how salience is used in neurotic weight. That's the wrong word. Let's just leave it at salience. Salience is used to put weight into the mind, put weight of ideas onto minds to change the perspective of the observer. And that is how propaganda works. When you are introduced to certain images by way of the television or your cell phone, let's just call it a black mirror in general, it can skew your perception on the world as a whole. It's almost like that saying that I used to always struggle with. Is art imitating life, or life imitating art? Life saying, yeah, you get it. But just a couple more photos of the camera obscura in action. You get to see. This is how they painted images of what devils were. Because a devil is the devil, that guy that runs around with a pitchfork, all red with horns, or is a devil or a demon somebody that obscures your perception of the world. But just a couple more pictures just to drive home the point that these are projectors, and we become more and more sophisticated with our ability to use projectors to sway perception. That being said, this is Taj. Peace, and I'm out.